So one thing reestablishing this center line did, it matches up here and here. Okay, where I brought it out. It's in the center here. Pretty close in the center here. It might be a little fat. And feeling this thing, it's like the center line isn't in the center of this trailing edge. You can feel it's a little fat here. So it's flush with the foam here and it's sticking out a little here. And then also up here, you can tell by looking at this line, there's more wood up here on this side of the line. And then if you feel this foam core, you can actually feel it's thick here. So by reestablishing this center line, it lets you know where you're at, top and bottom. So I'm going to sand a little bit more here and make sure that line splits the trailing edge. Get this 48-inch bar. This one's got fresher paper on it. So this is where the wood needed to come off, right here. And when I was sanding, I wasn't putting hardly any pressure on it. I was letting the sandpaper do the work. And this was the high spot. As you can see, when I was sanding, all the dust is right here where that high spot was. So you can tell by looking that it's coming down where it needs to be. So I think it's where it needs to be. But this anyway, that center line, it's a constant reference of where you need to be. There's a little bit, it's a little high down here. You can see, okay, there's a little high here. See the dust right there. So that tells me that that bar is sanding right here and not down here, which got me the edge I wanted. So it's a subtle thing, but let's hope it pays off in the long run. And of course the old joke is you take this airplane, you make it perfect here, and then everything's really good. You take it to the Nats or some big contest, you set it out there on the black asphalt. The sun starts to bake it for about 2 hours. It's nothing like what you started with. So that's why on this wing, I try to get as little wood as possible, and I'm going to try to make the structure to where it is stiffer and more rigid. That's why, I don't know, you see these guys build these airplanes and they've got these wing ribs at an angle. And it adds more rigidity. And also the carbon spar. I mean, the carbon's not going to change under humidity and heat with the end grain. So there's a lot of things I'm trying to build into this wing to keep it straight. Will it be perfect? Probably not. But the other thing I'm going to try to do, when this thing is all on the glass being set on these jigs, I'm going to take brass tube as small as I can get and insert the brass tube right on that center line. So when I take the height gauge with that pin on it, even after the plane's finished, there'll be like a pinhole where that brass tube opening is. I'll keep it cleaned out. So I can go back after the fact, set this whole airplane on this glass table, run those height gauges around, and plug them into that tube to see where I'm at. Little OCD, but this whole USA 1 build is, it's got a lot of different stuff in it. A lot of things I wanted to try and didn't have the time to do. So I'm going to change things up a little bit on this wing. As you'll see, I'm going to start laying out these ribs where I want them. So these ribs are going to be at an angle. From the spar back, it's going to be a built-up wing. From the spar forward, it's going to be a foam core.